If you have hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, or if anyone in your family suffers from this condition, then this may be the most important presentation you ever watch. When my ringing phone jolted me out of bed at 4 in the morning, I knew it couldn't be good news. But I had no idea of the nightmare that was in store for me. My dad told me he'd found my mother collapsed in the bathroom. Now he was with her at the hospital, and she was barely clinging to life. I raced there as fast as I could. When I arrived, the doctor told me she was in critical condition, and there was no way of telling if she'd pull through. Was she going to die right there in front of me? All because she hadn't fixed her high blood pressure when she had the chance? It's also called hypertension, and not only can it strike you dead at any time, it can also slowly kill you from the inside, destroying one internal organ at a time. So if you have higher than normal blood pressure, and you think it's not a big deal, if you think you can just leave it alone and all will be fine, then this, right now, is your wake-up call. Because if you don't do something about your high blood pressure today, it will do something bad to you, and you and your family will end up suffering terribly. If you don't take action, you could be the one lying helplessly in the hospital as your loved ones pray for a miracle. And trust me, you don't want to put your family through that. I'll tell you the rest of my horrifying story in a moment. And more importantly, I'll reveal an all-natural hypertension reversal secret that you can use today. And if you're like the average person who thinks it'll take years to reverse your condition, then let me tell you something that may shock you. There are documented cases of people lowering their blood pressure dramatically within just 3 weeks using simple, all-natural methods. That's not always the time frame. The results may vary from person to person, but you need to know that reversing your hypertension absolutely is possible, and you can do it without medications. So I urge you to watch this presentation to the end while you still can, because once Big Pharma finds out I'm sharing this all-natural method that is clinically proven to reverse your high blood pressure without the need for prescription drugs, I'm sure to be next on their hit list. They've got a long history of suing those who do anything to threaten their bottom line, but I'm willing to take the risk in order to get the truth out, because according to the latest U.S. Census data, over 100 million Americans suffer from high blood pressure or hypertension. If you have even slightly higher than normal blood pressure, this puts you at risk for 4 of the top 10 killer diseases in America, which strike without warning and tear apart millions of families every year. In just a moment, I'll tell you the shocking story of how my mother nearly became the 4th person in our family to die from this insidious disease, and how I discovered a secret, all-natural healing method that finally unchained my mother from prescription medications and allowed her to reverse her condition for the long time. My name is Derek Daniels, and trust me when I say, you do not want to live through the nightmare that hypertension unleashed on my family. It's called the silent killer because it can cut you down out of nowhere at any time, and so many people who know they have high blood pressure ignore it, because oftentimes there are no symptoms until it's too late. A while ago, during a routine checkup, my mother learned from her doctor that her blood pressure was higher than normal, so she just took the pills he prescribed her and went on with her life, like millions of Americans. Because her hypertension wasn't causing her any pain, at least not yet, she didn't see any need to do anything about the silent killer inside of her, and it very nearly wound up killing her. Today, however, she's more than just a survivor. She's healthier than she's been at any time in the past 30 years. So now I want to share her all-natural healing secret with you so that you too can quickly and easily reverse your high blood pressure without risky and expensive drugs, dreadful side effects, or a sudden stroke or heart attack that lands you in the emergency room or in the cemetery. In this short presentation, I'm also going to expose an unethical side of the medical industry that may shock and even disturb you. I discovered this too during my journey back to health. In fact, in just a moment, your blood might boil in anger when I expose what's really going on behind closed doors in the doctor's offices. And did you know the most terrifying part of this condition is how stealthily it sneaks up on you? Hypertension can suddenly snatch away your life or leaves you permanently disabled before you even know what hit you. It's like having a cobra slithering through your veins that can strike at any moment. But that's not even the worst part. This silent killer inside of you is damaging and destroying everything it touches, weakening your heart and blocking your blood vessels without you even realizing it. And by the time you discover something's really wrong, it's already too late. According to the American Heart Association, hypertension causes damage to the cells of your arteries' inner linings. This results in artery damage and causes them to constrict, which may not sound life-threatening, but the reality is much more frightening because this condition damages the critically important blood vessels, which your heart needs to pump blood through your entire body. And when you suffer from hypertension long enough, you will eventually suffer from coronary and artery disease. As for what happens next, well, your blood will not be able to flow freely through your arteries. And when the blood flow to your heart is restricted, you will experience sharp chest pains, irregular heart rhythms, arrhythmias, or even a massive heart attack or stroke that can cause irreversible damage. Over time, high blood pressure causes your heart muscles to weaken and work less efficiently. If this goes on for long enough, your heart simply wears out and fails, and you drop dead and die. If you're lucky enough to stay alive, despite your high blood pressure, this insidious disease isn't done yet, because it causes irreparable damage to your brain too. Uncontrolled high blood pressure can damage and weaken your brain's blood vessels, causing them to narrow, rupture, or one of the other deadly ways in which the hypertension cobra can strike. As if that isn't bad enough, high blood pressure can lead to vascular dementia and cognitive impairment, and even devastating conditions like Alzheimer's disease, which will cause you to literally lose your mind. Yes, hypertension can result in dementia or full-blown Alzheimer's, on top of your heart weakening or failing. The American Heart Association further states that high blood pressure is one of the most common causes of blindness. That's because it can damage both the large arteries leading to your ocular cavities, and when the blood vessels within the eyes build up enough pressure, they may eventually burst, leaving you blind. The more research I did and the more facts I discovered, the more disgusted and alarmed I became, because I realized that 99% of the drugs that doctors prescribe only treat the symptoms of high blood pressure while completely ignoring the root cause. Now, before I reveal to you the dirty truth behind why most doctors only treat symptoms of this problem, let me share with you the unusual story of how my mother conquered the hypertension demon in her life, and how I discovered an all-natural, safe, and effective method that you can use to bring your blood pressure down to normal, healthy levels in as little as 2 weeks for some people. This brand new and stunningly simple, all-natural method works by treating hypertension at its core, so that instead of temporarily covering up the symptoms, it addresses the actual problem, and your high blood pressure will be reversed. That's why I call it Hypertension Reverser. And unlike the pills and drugs that are prescribed by doctors just to help you cope better, this method is not only absolutely effective, it's also 100% all natural. In other words, it reverses your hypertension and brings you back to a normal, healthy state. So you might never need to spend money on expensive medication in the future. The best thing is, when you use Hypertension Reverser, you can still enjoy delicious sweets, chocolates, ice cream, pizza, whatever foods you crave. So don't worry, this method is absolutely not about depriving yourself of life's pleasures. What I'm about to show you is a brand new, all-natural method derived from studies and founded on dietary principles approved by the American Heart Association. The best thing about Hypertension Reverser is that it works quickly, safely, and effectively without you needing to take drugs that can cause dizziness, nausea, headaches, impotence, and other horrendous side effects, without you needing to drag yourself to the gym or follow some grueling exercise routine, without starving yourself and depriving yourself of the foods you enjoy. If you're like the average American and you think the only way to handle your high blood pressure is to visit a doctor and get hooked on a prescription medication, you need to think again, because during the course of my research, I stumbled across a huge, inconvenient truth that, if publicly exposed, might shatter Big Pharma's $47 billion billion per year empire. But before I reveal this startling truth, did you know that a study by the Mayo Clinic found that 7 out of 10 Americans take some form of prescription medication? I want you to think about that for a moment. 7 out of 10 Americans. Can this really mean that 70% of the population, over 210 million Americans, are actually sick and require drugs on a daily basis? When I discovered this shocking fact, it made me remember how every time my mom went to the doctor in the past, even if she wasn't really sick, he would insist she didn't go home empty-handed, and he'd write a prescription for her. I never thought too much about this, until my near-death experience led me to discover controversial reports provided by whistleblowers inside the medical industry. And that's when I discovered more alarming facts like this one. Did you know that last year alone, doctors earned more than $3.5 billion worth of kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies? The level of collusion and corruption between medical professionals and the pharmaceutical industry has gotten so wildly out of control that HBO had on John Oliver to do a special investigation on this exact issue on his show Last Week Tonight. This works regardless of your age, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, and even if you're currently taking prescription medication for it. Once you use Hypertension Reverser, you'll be on the fast track to optimal health. And please don't blame yourself if you suffer from high blood pressure, because it's really not your fault. The medical establishment still doesn't know with absolute certainty what causes a person to develop high blood pressure. But the good news is, regardless of how it's caused, I'm about to hand you a simple, natural, and field-tested method that will target the root cause and not just put a Band-Aid over the problem. So I want you to pay extra close attention right now, because I'm about to show you how to easily and quickly reverse your hypertension. Now, you may be wondering, what makes me an authority on this? Well, like I said, my name's Derek. You could say I'm the average guy next door. I don't drive a fancy car or live in a big house. I work as a customer support representative to put food on the table. And like millions of other average families, I've seen my share of tragedy due to this all too common condition. When I was a kid, my dear grandmother passed away from a sudden stroke brought on by high blood pressure. Then a few years later, when I was in high school, my father died in his mid-40s from a sudden heart attack. High blood pressure was the reason why. I also had an uncle who passed away from heart disease. At the time, I didn't realize it had anything to do with his hypertension. I wouldn't find that out until later, when I immersed myself in research and decided to solve this problem once and for all. We'll get into that in a moment, and what I'm about to share with you will amaze you. But the bottom line is, it didn't truly hit me how deadly serious this condition was until I found myself standing over my mother in her hospital bed, seeing the woman who brought me into this world being kept alive by machines and tubes, pumped full of so many drugs she couldn't even recognize me, her only son. And speaking of drugs, my mom had been taking the blood pressure medication her doctor prescribed her for years, but it seemed to do her more harm than good, as if the side effects and complications caused by the pills were worse than the underlying problem. When sudden waves of nausea weren't keeping her chained to the bathroom, blinding migraine headaches were pounding her brain into submission. Every time we wanted to have a simple family outing in the park, we had to worry if her body could keep up, or if she'd suddenly get sick. And her condition was affecting my ability to earn a living. Whenever she needed help, I had to leave work to rush to her side, which was my duty as her son, of course. On top of that, her pills made her feel lethargic and exhausted. Even if she never left the house, she rarely had the energy to spend time with her kids and grandkids, let alone get outside for some exercise. And if that wasn't bad enough, the financial costs of the medication keeping her alive were simply crippling. We were spending nearly a quarter of our family's budget each month on high blood pressure medications, from diuretics to beta blockers, from ACE inhibitors to angiotensin II receptor blockers, from calcium channel blockers to renin inhibitors. You name it. As long as it was some sort of medication to do with hypertension, my mother tried it. This hypertension was not only slowly draining the life out of my mother, it was financially ruining our family and putting stress on my marriage. If the drugs had actually cured her hypertension, they would have been worth every penny, but they didn't do that. They were making her life worse every day, and the more lethargic and depressed my mother got, the more weight she put on, to the point where diabetes came creeping into her life too. The side effects from the medications she was taking to regulate her hypertension were causing her to develop other deadly illnesses. As hard as it was, our family pulled together as best we could. I believed we had to just stay the course, and that if she just kept taking her medication, things might turn around. But that night in the hospital, as I stood over her bed, not knowing if she'd ever wake up this time, tears streaming down my face as I prepared to say my final goodbye to her, a swell of emotion surged through me. Would my mother live to see my boy graduate from high school? To see her granddaughter walk down the aisle someday? Would this really be the last time I saw her alive? All of these horrible thoughts were swirling through my brain. I don't know how our family managed to get through those long, dark hours. Eventually, my mom regained consciousness. A week later, she was discharged from the hospital, but in her weakened state, she felt like more of a burden to our family than ever before. As strange as it might sound, what kept her awake at night wasn't the painful side effects caused by her medication, or the thought that she might not wake up in the morning. It was her knowing that her medical bills were draining what little money we had left. I knew she blamed herself for letting this condition get totally out of control. She wouldn't have felt so terrible if it only impacted her, but her condition was ruining the lives of the people that she cared for most in this world. I know that's what hurt her more than anything. As for me, I wasn't just worried sick about my mom. I was angry. Over the years, we'd seen too many doctors and specialists who would simply check her blood pressure, scribble a prescription for some medication, and rush her out the door. But those pills hadn't done anything to fix her problem. Instead, they landed her here, in this living hell. At this point, I'd simply had enough. I figured there must be another way to fix this problem. That's when I took it upon myself to get to the bottom of this. I spent the next 2 weeks glued to the internet, digging up everything I could possibly find about alternative treatments to hypertension. Late one night, I came across some research papers by a renegade hypertension specialist named Dr. Julian Whitaker. Dr. Julian Whitaker isn't just any ordinary doctor. He's a board-certified family physician, the author of 13 bestsellers, and a nutritional researcher who specializes in preventing and reversing disease through nutritional and natural methods. In 1974, he opened his medical society, along with two-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling. As a renowned expert on natural healing, he has appeared on hundreds of radio and television shows and been called America's #1 health advocate. Dr. Whitaker is known as the doctor who other doctors turn to when they need advice. Dr. Whitaker's advice flew in the face of conventional wisdom and revealed the truth behind why 70% of Americans are currently relying on medications. And it comes down to this. When you go see your doc about your high blood pressure, you'll probably be told that you need to take medication to treat this disease for the rest of your life. But Dr. Whitaker exposed a rather inconvenient truth about what doctors aren't telling you, and that is, if you follow their advice without question, you're giving the pharmaceutical giants a permission slip to enslave you for life. Doctors don't openly talk about the fact that medications have a minimal effect on reducing the possibility of heart attacks for patients with high blood pressure, because the drugs they prescribe don't remove the main underlying problem, atherosclerosis, which is what causes your blood vessels to stiffen in the first place. Medication only treats the symptoms. It does not eliminate the root cause, the diseased plaque that is clogging your vessels and growing worse by the day. But Dr. Whitaker had figured out the secret that Big Pharma doesn't want you to know, because he revealed the inconvenient and shocking truth, which was, if high blood pressure medications were never invented, doctors would have been forced to teach other all-natural methods for solving the problem. Simply relying on drugs to treat hypertension is like wrapping a bandage around a gunshot wound. The problem might be covered up for the time being, but if you don't clean the wound and fix it properly, infection will set in, and over time the injury will kill you. With high blood pressure, it works in a similar way. Because you've got to clean out the deadly plaque that is clogging your blood vessels and causing blood clots to form uniform throughout your body. Do this, and you can reverse your high blood pressure and reduce or totally eliminate your reliance on expensive medications for the long term. Over the course of my research, I also came across a disturbing and alarming fact exposed by whistleblowing doctors, and it was, do not expect to receive valuable health advice from your typical doctor. The average person doesn't know this, but the disturbing reality is that physicians usually don't share information with their patients that reverses disease. And there is a dark and sinister reason behind this, which explains why 7 out of 10 Americans are currently taking some sort of prescription medication. You can sum it up with this one shocking statistic. Last year, doctors earned more than $3.5 billion worth of kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies. Yes, doctors are earning commissions and padding their bank accounts based on the number of prescriptions they hand out to patients. What's even more damning is that many of the giant pharmaceutical companies have direct access to our medical prescription records and are known to pressure certain doctors to meet a prescription quota. The bottom line? Too many doctors care more about meeting quotas and lining their pockets than they do about permanently curing your condition without drugs. Now I realized why all the years of taking drugs hadn't cured my mother's hypertension. The actual underlying reason behind her high blood pressure was not being addressed. Instead, she'd been duped into buying a never-ending supply of expensive pills that only covered up the symptoms, while her health got gradually worse. After studying Dr. Whitaker's reports, along with the findings of other alternative medical experts, I compiled a list of natural ingredients that have been shown to reduce hypertension naturally. My mother and I came up with a set of easy meal plans that would use these ingredients in simple but delicious ways. Each day we checked her blood pressure at home, and we were thrilled to see that each day it was slowly lowering. Our all-natural method was working, but something else I discovered about hypertension still had me worried. In many cases, high blood pressure would resurface with a vengeance, especially as we get older and our metabolism slows down, and when we put on extra pounds. I knew I couldn't risk this happening, since she was already overweight, so I did more research on this topic, and after spending a whole day poring over studies and academic papers, I made one more startling discovery. If you can jumpstart your metabolism, you'll burn fat and shed excess pounds literally while you sleep. And this is the key to preventing your hypertension from coming back. I narrowed down my research to a few simple tricks to ramp up her metabolism, which don't require any crazy diets or exercising myself half to death, and I incorporated these into her daily routine as well. Within a few short months, she'd not only brought her blood pressure down to normal levels, she'd also lost nearly 12 pounds and was waking up every day feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and bursting with energy. She was actually looking forward to seeing our doctor for a checkup, and after looking at her blood pressure readings, he was so surprised he had to check her twice. That's when he gave us the good news and advised us that my mother no longer required prescription medication. Her diabetes and high blood pressure had both been reversed. My mom was looking and feeling better than she had in years. She was back to playing with her grandkids, socializing with her friends, and even waking up bright and early to take her morning strolls. With amazing results like that, it didn't take long for word to spread beyond our family. Soon, friends of ours were coming to us for help, including folks from our church, men and women ranging in age from 36 to 75. And when they experienced similar results, that's when I knew it is 100% possible to reverse high blood pressure naturally. Now, since you've watched this far, I know you're very interested in trying this out for yourself, and I'll share it with you in just a moment. But for the sake of honesty and transparency, I want to let you know what's inside Hypertension Reverser so you can make an informed decision. Inside Hypertension Reverser, which you'll gain instant access to on the next page, you'll discover the weird and shocking truth about Big Pharma and the unethical relationship between the medical industry and the pharmaceutical giants, the real root cause of high blood pressure, and why it's closely linked to heart disease, diabetes, and other lethal illnesses. and the quick and easy way to fix it. The shocking findings of a closely guarded report approved by the American Heart Association, which reveals clinical cases where this disease was actually reversed. Remember, this is not about simply covering up the symptoms. The simple tricks and techniques I personally discovered and used to make hypertension reversal easier and faster than ever before, so that you don't need to radically change your diet or lifestyle. Simple and delicious meal plans and smoothie recipes that you can whip up in minutes, which contain the little-known ingredients and nutrients that attack hypertension at its core and erase the deadly plaque from your arteries. And a closely guarded secret for radically improving your blood flow efficiency by restoring the elasticity of your arteries and blood vessels. You'll also get drop-dead simple, step-by-step instructions that make it easy for Hypertension Reverser to work for you. Once you've brought your blood pressure down to a healthy level and you're feeling fitter and healthier than you have in years, you'll learn simple tips for controlling your levels for the long term. And at the same time, you'll enjoy the amazing added benefit of losing weight and shrinking inches off your waistline, because Hypertension Reverser also reveals the easy, fail-proof way to torch your stubborn fat away by increasing your metabolic efficiency. Forget grueling gym sessions or crash diets. In mere minutes per day, you'll jumpstart the fat-burning furnace within you so that your body burns off flab even while you sleep. And this is really only the tip of the iceberg, because I don't want to keep you here for hours. I can only tell you about 10% of what you'll discover inside the full course, but I can tell you this: Hypertension Reverser is even more than a step-by-step blueprint for reversing your hypertension. It's your roadmap to overall optimal health and vitality. And if you think it'll take a long time, think again. There are documented cases where people have reversed their hypertension in as little as 2 or 3 weeks. Results do vary from person to person, depending on the routine they follow. But it's extremely important for you to begin now, because let's face it, suffering from high blood pressure isn't a small problem that you can just ignore and simply hope goes away. It eats away at you from the inside. It robs you of your energy, motivation, and spirit. It destroys your intimacy with your spouse. It can even weaken the bond you have with your children. And if left untreated, it could very well cost you not only your health, but your family and everything else you hold dear. That's why, when you look at the costs involved in leaving your hypertension untreated, it can be completely devastating, physically, emotionally, and financially. Trust me, our family learned the hard way and paid the ultimate price 3 times already, and there was almost a 4th. You know my own experiences with fighting the hypertension demon and what I had to go through to make sure you don't suffer the same fate. So let me ask you a serious question. What kind of value would you place on a simple, all-natural healing method that will eradicate your hypertension and give you the freedom to finally walk away from prescription medications? I know some people would gladly pay a fortune for even a chance at that kind of life. And just think about the time and money you may have already wasted on drugs, medications, and trips to see your doctor. Some of the folks have suggested that these secrets would be worth at least upwards of $1,997. But don't worry, I would never in a million years ask you to spend that kind of money. I'm not that kind of person. I'm just an average Joe who doesn't have a lot of money to spend. And I know you have bills to pay too. I know what you're going through right now because I've been there myself. So I'm not going to ask you to pay $1,997. It won't be $997. It won't even be $97. All I'm asking from you today to gain instant access to Hypertension Reverser is a small refundable deposit for the amount you see below this video. I'd love to give this out to the whole world for free, but please understand that keeping this website online costs me a fair amount of money every month. I also hired a friendly customer support team to be available to you 24 hours a day, just in case you have a question or need help with anything. And just in case you're not wildly thrilled with the results you get from Hypertension Reverser, your deposit is 100% refundable. You can email us and get your deposit back at any time over the next 60 days. Every penny, no questions asked. I recommend that you access the course right now. Swipe the secrets, try it for yourself, and then decide whether you want your refundable deposit back. You've got a full 60 days to do so. So as you can see, I've removed all the risk from you and put it on my own shoulders. Because if you do wish to have your deposit returned to you in full, all you need to do is send us an email. You'll see how to contact our friendly customer support team once you complete your checkout and get access to the course. You'll be able to view it on your computer, phone, or mobile device just 60 seconds from now. And just to put you totally at ease and make this a no-brainer, here's our ironclad 100% money-back guarantee. If Hypertension Reverser doesn't reverse your hypertension and have you feeling fitter, healthier, and more vibrant than you've felt in years, then I insist that you email my 24-hour customer support team at any time over the next 60 days and ask to have your deposit returned in full. You'll get it back, every penny, no questions asked. I just wouldn't feel right about keeping your money if Hypertension Reverser doesn't meet your expectations. But to be honest, I'm 100% confident it'll exceed your expectations and that you'll be our next success story. See, that's the difference between me and other so-called experts who claim they can help you. I actually care about seeing you solve this for the long term because I saw firsthand how hypertension tears apart lives and devastates families if you don't take action now. And I want you to remember, you have an entire 2 months or a full 60 days to ask for your refundable deposit to be returned. Now, since you've watched this far, I know that you're very interested. You're about ready to take action. Let me sweeten the deal for you by giving you the following fast action bonuses when you try Hypertension Reverser today. Fast action bonus number 1, the Diabetes Reverser Special Report. This special guide is an absolute must to stop diabetes in its tracks before it creeps into your life. And if you have diabetes now, the simple tips in this guide will reverse your body back to a healthy, diabetes-free state. In this report, which is only for those who try out Hypertension Reverser, we share health secrets that will allow you to break the chains that bond over 9 million Americans. You don't need to keep believing the big pharma lie and give yourself injections for the rest of your life. You can free yourself from expensive medications or make sure you keep your body diabetes-free forever. Fast action bonus number 2, the Fat Burning Switch Special Report. Imagine having the flat, tight stomach and attractive body you've always wanted, but you get it the easy and lazy way, without crazy diets, scary pills, extreme workouts, or risky surgery. Here's your simple, step-by-step guide to melting away those stubborn pounds so that you look and feel 10, 20, or even 30 years younger. No strict diets or gym memberships required. Hint, it's all about knowing how to instantly ramp up your metabolism, or as I say, flipping your fat-burning switch. And it means you'll burn off pounds even while you sleep. Fast action bonus number 3, the Body Age Reverser Special Report. This one's an absolute must to slow down the effects of aging and even reverse your looks and energy levels back to how you looked and felt 5, 10, even 20 years ago. Because in this report, which is not available to the general public, it's only for those who try out Hypertension Reverser today, you'll discover all natural anti-aging secrets that have nothing to do with surgery or risky drugs. So let me sum up all the special fast action bonuses that we're going to give you for free on top of Hypertension Reverser: the Diabetes Reverser Special Report, the Fat Burning Switch Special Report, and the Body Age Reverser Special Report. Remember, those are just the free bonuses you get on top of the Hypertension Reverser course, which you can get instant access to today, totally risk-free. This is the only course out there that reverses your medical problems without you having to resort to prescriptions, because it attacks the problem at its core. And if for any reason, or for no reason at all, you decide to ask for your deposit to be returned, you'll still get to keep Hypertension Reverser along with all the bonuses. That's the least I can do to thank you for watching this presentation and giving this course a try. On the next page, you will submit your fully refundable deposit through our secure checkout page. Your payment details and personal information will be kept completely confidential because our checkout page is encrypted with the latest 256-bit encryption technology. And to further protect your privacy, nothing about Hypertension Reverser will appear on your credit card or bank statement. The only thing that will show up will be a charge from ClickBank, which is the secure online retailer that we use. But you need to act now. For reasons you now understand, I honestly don't know how much longer this website will be online. This means that if you do exit this page, you might be saying goodbye forever to the only real and all-natural solution to your condition. You'll never be a slave to prescription drugs. You'll never suffer those nasty side effects. And you'll never have to miss out on another opportunity to enjoy life with your loved ones. I know you want this. I know your loved ones would want this for you. So let me help you, like I've already helped thousands of other people in your very situation. All you need to do is click the big yellow button that says Add to Cart, which means that if you ever have a question, or if you wish to request your deposit back at any time over the next 60 days, we'll see your message instantly and can respond fast. Now, I do need to make one other thing clear. If you are currently taking medications to treat your hypertension, please do not suddenly stop taking it. It would be irresponsible for me to suggest that you do so, and potentially harmful for you. What I am saying is that by using Hypertension Reverser and following the steps, you should be able to get off your prescription medications in a reasonably short period of time. Let me tell you though, there are some conditions out there where the only cure is through drugs, but it has been medically proven that hypertension is not one of those conditions and can be reversed naturally, which means we can tackle this together. All you need to do is click the big yellow button that says Add to Cart. Right now, you've basically got three options. Option 1, you can leave this page and continue to live your life as usual. But let's face it, none of us are getting any younger. If your blood pressure is elevated right now, it's likely to only get worse. And in the meantime, the hypertension demon is already growing inside of you and slithering through your body, doing damage, wreaking havoc on your arteries, blood vessels, and overall health in ways that you aren't even aware of. And you might never be aware of it until it's too late. If your blood pressure is even slightly higher than normal, you're on the path to premature and preventable death from a whole host of scary diseases. Then there's option 2. You can use the knowledge you've gained from this presentation to wing it and try to figure this out on your own. But I'll be honest, unless you know the exact secrets that I'm going to show you inside Hypertension Reverser, no amount of trial and error is going to reverse the real underlying issue behind your high blood pressure. And why would you even want to experiment and possibly make your problem even worse when Hypertension Reverser removes all of the guesswork and literally hands you the solution? Then you have option 3. You can try out Hypertension Reverser today and handle this problem once and for all, knowing that you're risking absolutely nothing. Right now, you can get complete access to Hypertension Reverser, and all you need to do is put down a small refundable deposit, which that is protected by a bulletproof, no questions asked, money back guarantee. Click the button below and you'll get complete access to Hypertension Reverser, along with all of the valuable bonuses. Remember, this is only a refundable deposit because you have a full 60 days to try out Hypertension Reverser, swipe all of the secrets, and decide for yourself whether this is the best investment you've ever made in your health and happiness. I'm absolutely confident that it will be. So just click the button below to get started. The amount of money you'll save from not needing to purchase prescription medication is worth many times the amount of your refundable deposit. And that doesn't even take into account the vast amount of time, energy, and stress wasted on dealing with doctors, which is why you and I can agree that I could easily be charging 10 times this much. I may very well be forced to raise the price soon. Now that the word is out about Hypertension Reverser, this website is getting more and more visitors every day, which means it costs me pay more to maintain this website. So take action now and get instant access to Hypertension Reverser at the lowest possible price while you still can. Remember, you get to try out Hypertension Reverser and learn all of the secrets for an entire 60 days absolutely risk-free. If you've watched this far, you must be convinced of two things. One, you cannot afford to wait another day to handle your hypertension and fix it once and for all. And why would you want to wait when the solution is waiting for you on the next page? And it's simple, safe, and all natural. Two, because this offer is 100% risk-free, it simply wouldn't make sense to pass up this opportunity or tell yourself maybe later. The next time you try to visit this website, it might very well be gone, or the price for this course may have doubled or even tripled. Now is the time to reclaim your health and vitality, which is 100% safe and secure. All of your details will be kept completely confidential. Once you click the Add to Cart button, you'll be taken instantly to our secure checkout page, which is 100% safe and secure. All of your details will be kept completely confidential. Nothing about Hypertension Reverser will appear upon your credit card or bank statement. The only thing that will show up will be a charge from ClickBank, which is our trusted and 100% secure online retailer. Then, once you complete your checkout, the complete Hypertension Reverser course will be on your screen for you to view in a matter of seconds. There's no sense in waiting another moment. Now is the time to take charge and reclaim your health, happiness, and freedom. Now is the time to reverse your high blood pressure and join the ranks of our grateful students who are finally free. Just click the big yellow button that says Add to Cart, and I'll see you inside our members area so we can get started.